Greetings, Summoners, and welcome to another Commander Breakdown video. Today we're tackling Nemean. For Arc of War players, this commander is also known as Galileo, but he's actually an infantry commander in this game. His other skills are exactly the same, but of course since he's an infantry commander, his awakening is going to be the single column or single row instead of the front column. So in that regard, I don't necessarily like Nemean as much as Galileo in Arc of War. However, the awakening really shouldn't be the difference there, and an infantry obviously benefits from having a much higher base attack stat, which is going to work well with his primary skill. So once people start getting into later gear, up until 10 million power, Nemean and Galileo are amazingly strong commanders. I would argue that right now, toe-to-toe fights, since you're going to be fighting for capitals and the one-slot bust meta isn't really figured out yet or not necessary, and Rogers isn't in the game, Nemean is the most powerful commander. Of course, his natural counter is going to be any Walker commander. You know, Snapjaw, he's not going to be able to out-dodge him. But in a fair fight, if you build half dodge, half defense HP gear, like a Nemean with Quiet as chess piece, and then a dodge Thalamus, and then the infantry dodge pants, he's going to have decent HP and defense, and if he can survive a round and actually land a plunder, he's going to be able to heal and recover those lost troops. So that being said, let's talk about Nemean. He is a free commander, free S commander. Takes a week to get him. The events are pretty difficult. It's not particularly easy. The overall event schedule sometimes changes, so if you're not sure, you can ask in the line chat or the Reddit community or the Discord community about what each quest throughout the week takes, but you may have to skip a couple, so be prepared to spend 12 to 20,000 gems if you want to get them first time around, if you're, say, less than a 1 million power account. Okay, but with Tier 5, you can do most of the stuff, Tier 5 troops, even if it's not infantry. Okay, Nemean, let's start with the flavor text. He is the first champion of Fence of Thorm. Yes, indeed, it is a lion. So Nemean was the very first champion to ever win the Fence of Thorm, which is their version of Ace in Sky Kingdom. So that's kind of cool. He's a lion. There you go. Now, the thing I was saying earlier is that he's Galileo, and he does this thing. Well, first off, he has a 60% skill. Most commanders only have a 40, a 20-40. He's got a 40-60, so he triggers his skills more often, and his skills are really good. So Instinct is his 60% main skill, and it says that when this slot of troops attacks, it has a 60% chance to trigger that it will buff our entire army with an increase to attack and accuracy. The increase is exactly what the level is. So at level 20, you get 20% attack and accuracy. So if you were going to hit for, let's say, 1,000, if you had triggered this one time, instead of hitting for 1,000, you should hit for 1,200. But that's not the case. See, it's actually a higher value because instead of just this increasing its own stat, so once it starts the attack modifier, let's say you hit for 1,000 and you have one trigger of Instinct, it's 1,000 plus 20%, so 1,200 is the base. When you trigger Instinct again, instead of going 1,000 the base and then plus 40%, it says no. 1,000 the base plus the 20% you got from the other one, and then another 20% on top of that. It's a multiplicative multiplier. And that matters because once you have 5 or 6 stacks going, instead of hitting for double damage, he's hitting for triple damage. Factor this in with bonus weapons or damage weapons, and the fact that he can't, the bonus damage and bonus crit damage is going to make huge heals when you trigger his Plunder skill. I don't have the right weapons on him. I'll get into his weapons a little further here in a second. I have airship weapons on him because I'm currently using him for the free commander event. But his Plunder skill is a 40% skill. And what it says is that 40% chance to trigger, he will recover 1.5% of the level to the damage he did. So if he hit somebody for 1,000 damage, he would instantly heal himself for 1.5% per level, whatever that damage is. So if your level was, let's say, 12, that means you had 18% on the skill. If you hit someone for 1,000, you'd get 180 back. That just instantly heals your troops. Whatever troops you lost, let's say you had 100 when the fight started and you had 10 left, you heal that amount. Infantry hits harder than everything else, so you're actually going to get a lot of value out of this skill as the game goes on and as you survive fights. So it's a very powerful skill. It's one of those things that the high-level replay really shows it off. I'm going to show you a low-level replay, and you'll get an idea there, but I don't want to discourage anyone from thinking this is a mediocre skill. This is Gisela or Grievous's heal packed in with a ramp commander who gets stronger every round. But like I was saying, he falls off later when the single slot bust meta comes into play. But right now, for the next 6 months, this guy is going to be a powerhouse. Of course, and the Walker meta is still running the game right now. But anyway, okay, one more thing about his instinct skill. It does fall off when that trigger or when that stack goes again. So if the stack, say slot 1 triggers it, it affects slots 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. When slot 1 comes back around, if it doesn't buff itself, then it falls off for the rest of the troops as well. The other thing is, as far as weapons are concerned, Apocalypse damage weapons are the best for him right now. Of course, when I'm making this video, there's not a lot of weapons in the game. The basic legendary items are fine if you don't have those yet, but you really want to focus on damage and accuracy because he needs to land hits to do damage. And of course, damage and accuracy is what Instinct gives him. So make sure your crit's over 100% and have a decent amount of dodge and HP, and you should be fine. Let's jump into the replay I want to show off, compliments of GFY, and then we'll wrap up this video. There's not much more to talk about. So, let's see. There is the replay there. Alright. Okay, so in this replay, you will see that GFY is using all Tier 5 infantry, 1 per slot for the sake of this test, and we are going to see every slot trigger his 60% skill, which is irregular. But in this replay, we get it. So you'll see exactly what the damage does each round as it gets more and more damage. So in the first hit, he's going to land a strike for 1510. So we never saw the original base damage, but we do see the very first instinct trigger, and the damage there is 1510. Now, we're going to ignore the Infantry Awakening. You can do that research on your own. It's the same for every commander. But for him, we want to just focus on the Instinct and the Plunder. So one more time, from the beginning, he does not get an Instinct. This is a basic hit. So 1510 crit. Remember, crit is damage and a half. Let's not worry about that too much. You're going to always crit. As long as you should always be critting. You should have at least 100% crit. Now, there's our first instinct. Instead of 1510, it hits for 1982. So his damage went up almost 30%. Now, let me remind you, his skill is only level 20, so it should have gone up 20%. Instead, it went up 30%. Remember, that crit helps. Now, we go on to the next one. In this one, we're going to see an instinct and a plunder, level 12 plunder. So, boom, he hits for 2554, and now he's going to heal 18% of that number back to his troops. So whatever troops he had lost or were damaged, he's going to heal. In this replay, he doesn't have any troops to heal, which is disappointing because I have some great replays on Galileo doing amazing heals, you know, healing like 50 tier 7 or whatever. But in this, I don't have it. Know that it is a fantastic healing skill, very overpowered. And you'll see right now he's going to get that damage back, and it is exactly 18%. So you can do the math real quick. It's exactly 18%, which is fantastic. Level that skill up, you'll get a lot of value back on it. Okay, here comes another instinct, and the damage goes up to 3,000. So each time we're getting 500 or more damage for each 20%, when it should be more like 400 damage. We're getting 500 damage. Here comes another instinct. It's 3792. And one more after that. The fifth trigger of Instinct gives us 4452. The very first base hit, no multiplier or no Instinct, was 1500. And then the very last hit after 5 triggers was, what was that, 4752? Dun, 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 dun. Let's try one more time just for the sake of the video. The last Instinct triggers, boom, 4452. So his damage literally went from 1500 to 4452. If he had actually had 5 stacks of that trigger, he should have only had 100% bonus damage, which should have been something like 3000. But instead, he got 4452. Triple damage after 5 stacks. Now, of course, this is a ramp commander. It takes time to build this up, and over time you get stronger and stronger and stronger. But a lot of fights like this are toe-to-toe fights, so that is totally normal, and you will be seeing a lot of that in the early game of Sky Kingdom. So that's the Nemean breakdown, guys. He's amazing. Galileo was amazing in Ark of War. Like I said, the meta does fall off, but for the next 6 months, you can expect Nemean to be the king of galactic battles because he heals himself back up so he doesn't lose troops in a fight. And he's a free commander early on, so people are going to have him. So if you're an infantry main, if you're an infantry commander main, get your hands on that Nemean. You will get value out of him non-stop for the next 6 months. He's absolutely fantastic. And now I know what you're wondering. Well, Melt, if he's so good, then what is an airship commander to do to counter such a powerful infantry commander? Well, the answer to that is, I guess you'll find out in the next free commander event. My name is Melt. Thanks for watching this video. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you like these kind of videos, subscribe below. Bell icon, if you want to hit the bell icon, it tells you whenever I put out a new video like this. And if you haven't joined the Reddit, the Reddit subreddits for Sky Kingdom and Ark of War, do that. The line chat information to join the social group to talk with all the other players of this game, you can check in that below, and we'll invite you to one of the channels where there should be a Discord as well, where you can go and voice chat with players that have similar interests in the game you like. So if you haven't done that, please do. You're missing out on a lot of content that I don't make videos about. And that's it. Remember, peace is bad for business, guys. You got to keep fighting on your servers.